but I'm okay.
So that could
This
be
is
the.
you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I get you.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. All right. So, this is an exciting opportunity. We got Matt, who's from Minichutes, and we've been going back and forth, about creating a scientific process around their product. And everybody on this call has been affected by injuries. And I know that you guys are doing, with Pitching Works, doing some really creative things, and we've been working together and partnering on certain projects. But this one is really interesting in the sense that I'm curious to see the process of using this tool, and we'll get that from you, Matt, in terms of the best use case and protocol development and those kinds of things, how we should use it has the potential to improve arm speed, improve arm strength, reduce fatigue, but then also look at some competitive measures. I have a presentation teed up, but I really want to, turn it over to you guys. Matt, why don't you start with introducing yourself and give us some history about the company, and the things that you guys have been doing, and hopefully what we can find through this case study. And then I'll turn it over to Bo and Alex, who are amazing. I just love working with them. So why don't you lead off, bud?
Yeah, sure. My name is Matt Scragg. I've been working with Minichutes for about a year and a half. My buddy actually created this product like 10 years ago, just out of a way to kind of train indoors and not, it's been really crowded and stuff up here. So there's a lot of teams fighting for space. So he created it to kind of like get throwing work in a short space, essentially, without really understanding kind of the potential on building arm strength and whatnot. And then yeah, since I came on the last like year and a half, I've been messing with the product quite a bit. I used to pitch about 20 some years ago and kind of started seeing the potential in terms of building building arm strength, improving arm slot mechanics, whatever. And I think when I kind of ran across armcare.com and Ryan, and I thought it might be a great opportunity to try to get some research and science behind it to see if there really is that training effect that I think it's creating. And so here we are.
Awesome. Bo, let's start with you, man.
Yeah, just an intro. Yeah, so Matt, I'm the kind of director of performance and rehab here at Pitching Works. So I started here. It'll be 3 years in September. So I do all the strength and conditioning around here, and then also all the physical therapy. So kind of anything on the body and physical side, that's kind of all ran through me. We have one other strength coach underneath me right now, and then I've been loving getting to work with Ryan, being able to pick his brain with his knowledge. So we've been kind of building what Alex and I do here for the past 3 years, and it's came into something that's been pretty productive, and we've seen some great, like I said, production with it. Alex can talk to it a little bit too, but we get to use some pretty cool technology around here. We have a 3D motion capture. It's ran by Dari, so all motion or all whatever markerless motion capture. Couldn't get markerless to my brain. So we use that. We use a bunch of other technology. We use the arm care monitors. We do force plates and all that. So we have a lot of cool stuff that we get to track our athletes with. Most of them we get to see daily, especially the pro guys from October to now. And then in the summer, we have 70 to 90 college guys that we also see daily. So the amount of guys that we get to see and track progress on pretty much daily or at least weekly has been great for us to kind of experiment with different things that Alex wants to do, different things I kind of put them through. And then we also have just the big time open communication, which has been the huge key to our success here is that we're all under one roof, and someone's got a problem with something that's right there to talk about it. Or if someone doesn't like something else, we can always figure out that situation.
Perfect. Alex, why don't you hop on, bud?
Yes, sir. Sorry, I'm not live on the camera today. I'm on day 6 of the flu, so it's been a rough go of it. But yeah, So pitching works, obviously. We got into our first facility. I've been coaching privately now for about the last 15 years, but about the last last 5 years, we've gotten into our first facility in 2020, and then in 2022, we got into a much larger facility, and we're about 18 months away from going into an even larger facility with a full sports med focus. Actually, doing some partnership with a national hospital chain as well. So that's very, very exciting. But yeah, just
You might have cut out there. Um, I Alex, you there? It's okay. I'm gonna share the screen so you guys can see this video. This is one, and
okay.
you got it.
Where'd you guys lose me?
Yeah, I lost you. We lost you a little bit more with the background at in terms of the expansion of pitching works.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yep, yeah. No, so we're about 18 months away from that. Just to kind of echo what Bo said, the entire way that we designed our program is, you know, to have theoretically have as many answers and resources for the athlete on site as we possibly can. And so, I think we do a pretty good job of that, and Bo is a massive part of that. And couldn't be more thankful to have him on that side.
Yep. And I think, the advantage for us, Matt, is that we're getting something that's really relatively new for many people. I know you guys have been going at this for a while, but it gives a competitive advantage to the people that I'm working with, which is really what I think is amazing. With anybody who's an RC13 sports partner, we're gonna be able to take a look. I'm gonna play this video on this screen. Hopefully it should be popped up. So Matt, you might have other videos, but I want everybody to kind of see how this looks. The biggest thing is it looks like, you're going to be getting some wind resistance from behind. And the component that I'm interested in is that it seems to be mostly unloaded until the critical instant. So when the arm gets to the point of maximal external rotation and as it's accelerating through, we're starting to pick up resistance, and that slight amount. My thought is it's going to be one that's going to improve internal rotation strength. So the way I'm looking at this thing is like, yes, okay, it could be a velo enhancement tool. I'm looking at it as a complement to either weighted balls or to replace weighted ball, especially for young players, right? We got to be careful there when they're not orthopedically mature.
Yeah.
But for me, I look it as a functional tool to correct imbalances. My head goes there, but I know as we're looking at certain things, we're gonna, see some of the responses that kids have. And one of the problems that we have in pro baseball with the elbow issues is that players are concentrically strong behind them. So this doesn't pick it up until we're going into internal rotation to give the athlete some resistance. So, I'm really excited about that. I want to tee up my presentation, and I'm hopeful that it works okay. Let me just get this whole happening so that anybody on your side, Matt, you can kind of see the process. I want to dive into this all together, kind of bring it full circle, and also Bo and Alex, getting some ideas percolating. Um, I, I, I unfortunately, Bo, I didn't have enough visuals of you. I have one of Alex that I put in here, but
It's all
uh,
right.
sorry, man. You are definitely as appreciated. So
Yeah, it's good. I'm good to be behind the scenes.
okay. Um, this is really, with my consulting firm, I'm really focused on remote player development pieces and how this really fits into keeping players durable and stronger longer. And the guys, this is why I absolutely love pitching works because, the guys are really focused on the same thing. Can we develop athletes for high intensity, high octane throwing with minimal risk? And what I do personally and what we talk about is identifying tools, technology, services, things that we can look at that advances the game in that way, and the beautiful part of everybody who's a partner with me, they're all interested in educating, sharing, helping promote information to help players, not even within their walls, but in the game. So we went through this a little bit, and I kind of give a little bit more of a where the ball sits in the hand that you can see. I'm not going to get into a huge amount of my experience, but I've published a good amount. Worked in Major League Baseball. And I do some work now with USA Baseball, but I've been doing some stuff with Team Canada, developing technology. I played and I was a coach, but the thing is that I always say the slogan of my consulting firm is our goals are achieving your goals. And I know, Matt, you've laid out some things that we need here. And, the ultimate goal is, can we get athletes to throw hard and throw healthy? Can we put all those pieces together? And I know you guys are all familiar with what's going on in social media, and everybody blames velocity for injuries. And, I think, we're doing it really well and much better. Especially with us testing. So this just adds into the mix of these critical tools that I think are going to be an option for player to stay healthy. These are some really important features in terms of how I want to look at our research. We have to do things obviously for our players that advance their opportunities for the draft. Pitching Works is on a premium on this level. Lots of pros, lots of guys who are going to be big leaguers, young kids that are developing. They do a great job and some experienced talent there. But we also want to make sure that what we tackle is leading athletes towards their to collegiate opportunities. I think everybody who has a product, they want to make baseball more enjoyable. They want to improve performance for the player, but ultimately, can we create opportunities from them? And the biggest things for me is, are we focusing, and this is where I see this product on the left side of what I see as a strong player development option. Body characteristics. Are we improving strength with this particular product? The athleticism, we have the tools to evaluate this. And what we're talking about, we're looking at arm speed, we're looking at possibly through this protocol, is there any changes in lower body power? You'd be amazed what tools that athletes use that they have no idea that it can improve the wiring of their lower body. And there's a lot there that we can test globally, not just the throwing arm. More motor coordination, I know that's something that's a really big piece of the product, and we'll be looking at different either sensor based, or it's possible with markerless to examine motor coordination components. Injury risk assessment, this is a big piece here because we want to see the device, at least in this small case study, improve shoulder balance, improve the fatigue ratings, minimizing those things, allowing the arm to be recovered. These are all things that I think are really important. We're also going to be looking at joint loads on some level. Can this product, because it's slowing the arm down, reduce the accelerations while it increases arm strength, and have a lot more buck for way less bang. That's the key. Optimizing genetic potential is what we want to have with this. Now, there's ball movement characteristics that we can capture. They are amazing. Pitching Works at tracking everything. There's generally hasn't been a week where Alex hasn't posted something to me where they've captured a pitcher on a mound. I've had their full outputs on what's happening with ball flight. And the outcome metrics too. We want to break it down to, is this athlete maintaining velocity in the protocols that we are going to develop together? And are the outcomes what we want as far as having command? Is the delivery repeatable? We want to be able to see those things. And the pitching kinematics, the biggest piece for me with this is examining what's going on with arm speed. That's a big piece because I know we have it dialed in on what we can look at for arm strength. The biggest thing for me is what are we dialing in here about understanding changes in arm speed. On this right side, guys, and thanks for hanging with me. That this is mostly physical, but there could be some things that we're looking at here. I have some subjective components of tests that I want to put into this study. Not necessarily focus attention, working memory, and motivation, but I want to look at subjective scores, and I'll get into those in terms of how they're perceiving fatigue. more on a cognitive load component. So this is a psychomotor ability to mentally handle fatigue. And like if we're seeing that this device, the mini shoot is reducing fatigue cognitively, that's big because collectively this is what's going to get us team and player results. Okay. Now I have a title picked. These are going to be the lead authors. We're going to look at having some assistance there if needed. Bo and Alex are going to be pretty busy, but we're going to create a method, and especially we have a manageable amount of athletes to really capture a good amount of data in different ways. The title that I've selected, and this can change many times, is an exploratory case study on parachute resistance throwing programs on baseball pitching performance and fatigue. These are big things. They got to go hand in hand. I don't get really excited about tools that make athletes less fatigable, but they don't perform as well. We want to be able to work with you through this study, give you feedback, Matt, in terms of how we can make this even better for your company and develop the right intervention process. And I think that's what Alex, Bo, and I are really into is that, if we're creating an impression on your company that we think can help thousands and thousands of players, at the end of the day, this is amazing. Bo, I don't have all your affiliations, but I have mine. Here's Alex's. Obviously he's been spearheading Pitching Works. But I have a couple faculty involvements, Louisiana Tech. I'm a research associate there, also with the Sports Performance Research Institute in New Zealand. I'm at Auckland University of Technology. So I have master's students here in baseball science. I have PhD students here in baseball science. When we look at arm care, I've been, very blessed to be able to help further develop a technology to evaluate arm strength, fatigue, create courses and education around it. But I've been running this consulting firm for quite a while, and this is adding more layers to this. And I love armcare.com, but I definitely want to find everything I possibly can do to support the athlete. And this is where your product comes in with Minichutes. This is the biggest piece here in terms of fatigue, and this is from one of our arm care courses, is that 60% of all the research shows the biggest benefit to injury protection by correcting strength imbalances and deficits. There's research that's been published that shows that fatigue increases injury risk by 36-fold. This is going to be a really big piece of our background literature, and the way we write this paper is that fatigue mitigation has even stronger benefits than range of motion defects and fixing those. Workload has still yet to be proven to be effective. That's why with armcare.com, we do individualized pitch counts with arm strength data based on these things. And then the biomechanical pieces, there really hasn't been a ton of research to show how biomechanics reduce injury risk. However, what we do know is that players that throw with higher torques, they also absorb more strength. So that's been seen in some research to show that athletes that gain velocity also increase their torque levels. They're going to have more pull on the strength. So looking at our process with this research, if this is great, even as a tool for recovery throwing, managing arm speed, managing the amount of torque that can be registered at the elbow, man, we got something great. Okay. These are the biggest factors here when it comes down to breaking down the strength deficits and imbalances, coming first from fatigue. We then have poor recovery. That's an issue. That's something that we want to look at test to test. And we also want to look at the weakness for the throwing. I want to see that, the product actually increases arm strength. This is going to be a big piece. And if it doesn't, we have to figure out why. But the biggest thing is if we can nail these three, we reduce compensations. And a lot of what I want to be able to see in the pitch data, understanding a little bit more about release point and some of the arm information there, okay, and movement. The approach to the problem, and I'm going to go through this, guys. I know we're gonna be diving in deeper. We're going to probably have more meetings and definitely more communications by email. But we want to determine the performance and fatigue resistance benefits of utilizing the baseball parachute apparatus and high level pitchers. It's important when we do research. I can't really name Minichute as the trade name, but we will make reference to where they get it. in the research because they're going to want to know other researchers are going to want to know what we're using and where to find it. There's going to be two conditions. I'm really big into the force velocity profile of the training. So, for example, we'll have some of our case study participants start from a light to heavy protocol. And we'll have to kind of lean on that from you, Matt, at the end of this meeting to start to wrap our heads around this. And I want another group to start in the heavy to light resistance protocol. So, increasing, we're going from force to speed rather than speed strength to force in throwing. Okay. Then what we need is a washout, and we're going to be doing some heavy testing, some baseline testing, some post testing during these phases. I'd like to see acutely what happens within about 4 weeks. The fifth week will be a washout where the guys don't do any of these, and then we'll switch them up. Whatever was the heavy guys are going to go to the force velocity profile that starts with velocity, and the light guys that start with the velocity profile to start with the force. And we're going to look at all these things that we possibly can from the mechanical aspects, physiologic, cognitive, as I mentioned. Competitive data will be there out the yin yang when they do the testable bullpens to look at the benefits associated with the protocol and the device, okay, or the mini shoot. We talked about this too. As far as I got a little company history, which is great. The biggest goal for me, guys, is that we develop research that doesn't live in a white paper. That afterwards we come together and identify what would be from this research the best integration plan. And perhaps you guys on the side of mini shoots get so excited about this, we further this research even more and develop a little bit more of a story or other processes that go around this technology. Because I'm telling you, with Alex and Bo, we get some great people. I really love working with them. You've probably been familiar with the arm care platform. Here's some testing positions that we're going to be looking at from internal rotation, external grip, okay, and scaption. I'd be very interested. My hunch is that internal is going to be able to move up pretty quickly, and but I do want to test this in pretty big detail, okay, especially with guys that can throw, fairly decently. They got a lot of talent at pitching work, so I want to look at that. You guys may have not seen this, but the range of motion piece, we do want to be pretty strict and we want to monitor that because if we're seeing that the athlete is having changes in restriction or they've actually expanded range of motion, this is what's important to me to say, okay, well, this tool could be used the day after throwing to restore range of motion. We often have contractures especially if there's any potential in internal rotation. I just had an athlete, as I mentioned today, has some elbow extension issues. So there's going to be some things that we can take a look at. And obviously, this is the profile for strength. Looking at these things, are we improving the peaks in our testing? So that's a big piece. Now, I do want to look and see, is there any influence on the lower body? And that we have force plate options. There's all sorts of things that we can look at as far as what happens, pre and post of using the device. Can our athletes who are using this as part of it see any increased benefit in jump height? But we do want to see, when it comes to the actual bullpen testable, is the jump performance that goes before, is it actually better after? And I know this is an indirect way, but it's possible that let's just say the force velocity protocol, is able to maintain lower body strength. I mean, better. These are important things to note, even in this small case study and one where they can follow the training that's going on with pitching works, and we're just adding this layer to evaluate, right? Because we do want to see, is there a change in how they load and how they get off the ground and some of the other elements of power. This device,
Brian, quick thought on that
yep,
while you're going through things to
yep.
measure rotational strength or fatigue with that would be interesting to me as well.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we can definitely, put, some of those ideas together. The biggest thing is trying to ensure that the test battery is pretty easy to test. Like if there's, Like I know, let's just say there was a med ball velocity protocol. Like it's probably much easier to do an overhead throw than rotational, just to try to keep something standard. The biggest goal that we need to have as research is when somebody reads this, they go, "Oh, I want to build on this study. This looks pretty cool." And they can follow our protocols. If they becomes pretty technical where you need a lot of instruction and monitoring, it makes it a little tougher. But we can definitely, this is why we're having this meeting. You guys can have ideas generated and we can build it into the protocol. I'm giving you bare bones. I am gonna probably rent this device here where what I want to look at is any kind of change in what's called the carotenoid levels in the hand. I don't share this very much. I keep it close to my heart, but what I want to be able to do is see, is there an inflammatory process that we're seeing, if we do our bullpens, I want to see, are we losing or gaining anti-inflammatory performance with this process of including the mini shoot. There is some dietary elements that are integrated in this. However, we'll be able to see the decrements is what I'm interested in. What's happening from the inflammatory state prior to and after the bullpens when we test them. And then, we have the washout period. So if there is any high level inflammation, it will reduce and we'll be able to start it off again. Um, Biomechanically, I'm showing you some tools based on wearables. We won't have a system like this. They're pretty hard to rent, where we're putting sensors all over the body. For me, later down the road, we are looking at a research grade technology to do 3D motion capture with animations and such. And this will be really great for, I think, educational purposes and visualizations in the future by charting how we do the studies. But what I'm interested in now, looking at two things. One, a single sensor of the arm, and I'm looking at a bunch of different ones. This one is one that I kind of sampled with, and I'm going to take a look and see if it's robust enough to stay on the forearm and not be clunky. But down the road, outside of the kinematics, this is called EMG. So you're seeing bursts, if I go back, of when muscles are turned on and off. And there's a few different EMG products I'm looking into that may be uh, affordable on my end to rent. And so, I'm trying to do it without going back to you guys and asking for more money. But we'll figure out, what we can do to capture the arm, because I think that's going to be really exciting for us to see what is actually happening to the kinematics and eventually the neural input for the arm. So the other thing is, looking at heart rate technology, and most iWatches can capture this now. I think during the training sessions, I would like to see how the athlete is corresponding with heart rate sensing. Is there a cardiovascular load that we're not seeing? That people aren't really measuring this stuff when guys are going out to throw. They're not looking at heart rate data. Is this encouraging a lot more cardiac output? Maybe there's something aerobic to using this, because I do think there's probably more energetic cost with the resistance. But we also want to look at this during the bullpen too. Ideally, we find the training process, maybe more force-driven work, is showing us better heart rate, pitching heart rate, and recovery heart rate in the games. At the very least, we'll be able to capture inter-inning recovery, which is more important to me, to be honest, than the pitching heart rate. Most pitching heart rates, they seem to hover around the same VO2 max levels. It's interesting in that way, where I do want to be able to evaluate between simulated innings, and my protocol is we got to get them to 40 pitches, so it'd be at least to encourage arm fatigue. So we at least two ups should get passed through any hospital system to give us IRB permission. There's so much stuff on the background, guys, that you don't even know, and getting research approved for human subjects. But I think that would be a safety point where we could see, okay, when they use this kind of training, certain protocols are going to show us, is it more force or is more velocity driven, that can allow that athlete to recover their heart rate better. The goal for this is really building up more of a study interest, that we do a controlled study, meaning it's the product versus, using the control being nothing, and looking at those elements. But for right now, let's focus on how we can get the most out of the product and the intervention, for the player. This is what I was talking about, subjective ratings. I use these. I've published on them. I think they're great, because now we get into the cognitive world of fatigue, and some of the other things is that when athletes are using the product, and potentially even, what I see this as in the bullpen, is understanding how they see themselves with this high intensity throwing bout that we're going to test. And they would click in and they would determine pre and post, where do they see themselves in terms of performance in their mind, their fear of injury, and then we look at multiple measures of pitching exertion, pre bullpen, in the middle, and afterwards. We'd want to see, how fatigable are they. And then, the biggest thing here is, okay, what's in it for the participants? Because we have to think about that too. We want to encourage some of those great athletes that are, at Pitching Works, and we only have a handful really, where we're going to look at, them getting reports, that involve, a little bit more attention to their needs through the process. They're going to learn more about how their body responded to the protocols, and our expectation is it's going to be very positive. Um, a big benefit to them is that on the pitching work side, they're going to be able to see how this complements in a program, where it comes in. Is this a recovery tool? If an athlete is showing significant fatigue, and contraindicated for weighted balls, does this come in, showing that, we're offloading load, or there's strength improvement, or there's lack of fatigue shown, as an alternative to better improve what's going on for their players. The biggest thing here, the benefit for all of us, I really want to see our research. The performance piece is big, but can we significantly improve sport health? If you've been living under a rock, you haven't seen that, MLB, everybody's talking about injuries. I mean, I hear it all the time, and they're just blanketly using terms and communicating things that, it's maybe seems obvious, but when you dive deeper, it's like, velocity doesn't predict 100% of injuries, and two guys can throw at the same speed. One can have really high loads, one can have loads lower than a guy throwing 82 miles an hour. The biggest thing is, can this contribution show the product and the process, of showing improved sport health, in a peer-reviewed fashion, right? This part, players, I do want to give them a little something. It's called honoraria. I know they might just be, excited about using a new product, getting reports, getting the opportunity to get a jump start on other athletes, but I want to pay them $30 in a Nike gift card when they complete each trial. So once they go from low to high, and then we go over the washout, I give them another 30 so they can earn $60. But again, this stuff all has to be approved by IRB, because I don't want Pitching Works to say, well, to get them excited about this, they're cutting them a deal. I don't want that happening, because that is actually against, I believe, the research laws for human subjects, but we can pay them something. And so this is something for, a little something for the players that are involved. I'm, this is the last slide of it, but I'm so excited that you guys have been listening to this, and I hope it's really spurring ideas, because I want to have this meeting recorded for Alex and Bo to let it percolate, maybe go back to some areas and, think about what they have and what we can further into this, process. There could be some really great things happening as far as building off of it with more athletes. But I'm excited. We're going to be a part of this, and it's just exciting to be able to do something with a company that has all the right intentions, and help it grow, with experts like Bo and Alex and my scientific background and academia. So I'm going to pop out of this, guys, and let me end the show. And if you have any questions, that would be great. And one of the things that I do also want to share with you guys is this podcast studio. So this is the ultimate goal for me, because I do want to make sure that we showcase this. Is Let me see here if I have it up, desktop two. I want to be able to take our information, our research, and this podcast studio. I love it, but I want to be able to do things like, webbing you in, Matt, and your company, and also having Alex and Bo, as part of this to really talk about this because it's groundbreaking to do research, but it's more exciting for me to do it outside of a school. When you want to get things done in baseball, I don't find going to an academic route for something like this moves fast enough or is actually more repeatable to how a player would use this, in an actual practice environment. So this is kind of where my head's at, and we're starting some education this year. I'm calling it the Tough Mother Chucker, and it's going to be all about these tools. How can we produce high level pitchers and reduce the risk? That's a big piece. So I'm going to shut up, and if you guys have things to add, just jump in because I got my notepad and maybe I start with you, Matt, of just like give us some ideas of how you foresee a protocol for the training aspect built in.
Um, I'm not quite sure. I mean,
Okay.
so yeah, that was a lot of information. I was fascinated by it. I
That's why I
appreciate it.
filmed it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like how our product is currently used.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just through, like general long toss type program.
Okay.
Um, and then, I've experimented kind of with, some of the general, like, weighted ball drive line type drills with it.
Mhm.
And I mean, it performs okay. I'm just, I'm so far removed from pitching training
Okay.
that my expertise isn't there. And it's changed so much in even the last 5, 10 years. So I'm just trying to catch up and kind of just soak in all the information that you guys can provide, really.
Perfect.
Um, I, yeah, like
This is good. This is
just
really
from
good.
my limited use of it, I feel really good when I throw like just kind of long toss with it, just generally progress back and then increase the intensity. But maybe there's a better way to get, a better training effect.
Yep.
Yep.
Well,
Um,
right now, so I want to try to create, so I don't want weather to bother us. So I want to talk, Bo, Alex, how far can guys throw, distance wise inside the facility?
So inside we can go 120 on a line, but we can also go up to net.
Okay.
Our our net's about 20 feet high, so
Okay.
there's we kind of if you're at the end of the net throwing to the top of the net, we usually call that about one equivalent of 180.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay, so my thought is this, because this is something measurable. I like the 120. If we can keep that as kind of the furthest distance that I know can be measurable. The biggest
Yep.
thing we have to do here, so now we got a distance factor that we can standardize. Um, and the other thing is fitting the process in with these players. I would say for us to see a training effect, I'd like to start with at least like in an ideal world, twice a week. Okay. Because I'm trying to think of, you know, where this would fit in for most people. They might not say they're doing this every day right now. But if we can show with the product that there's a minimally effective dose, that's amazing. Because now someone says, okay, I don't want to throw this with every single day, but I'm seeing benefit with 2 days a week. So they're going to have 8 sessions. And what's amazing is if we're seeing those changes, that's pretty incredible. Okay. So we can start there. Here's the key though, guys. We got the distance, we got the frequency. Okay. Frequency's in check. The volume is the key. We got to be able to have an idea of how many throws they can make. So, Alex, if we got these players that are coming in doing these sessions, there's probably no time, right? If we put a couple guys together, is there a time limit where um they might be limited?
I mean, I'm not too concerned about that. We can put a number on it or a time limit.
Okay. So I'm thinking if we give them 20 minutes, okay? So let's just say they have a 20-minute throwing process. Um, then we have to figure out at each rung. Let's just say they start at 60, 60, they go 90 and then 120. We have to have a process, whether them going out and back that has a very standard amount of throws.
Yep.
So, I would think personally, we got to get 60 throws in there. So making 120 throws a week with this. So for me, it would be like 20 at each, like 20 at 60, 20 at 90, 20 at 120. Then, oh man, maybe not. Yeah, maybe it's 40 at 120, and then we work 20 back. It just has to be standard. But I know they're going to get a lot more training effect at the distance at 120. So my thought is
Agreed.
that, yeah, my thought would be 20, 20, and then, yeah, they're going to stack up 40 at 120, and they're going to come back and throw another 20 at 90 and another 20 at 60. Do I have that right? No, I don't. Um, 60 throws, so it'd be 10. Sorry.
Yeah.
10 throws, just so we don't crush them. 10 throws, then we have 20 at 120. Okay. And then they're going to have 10 throws in. Okay. We're going to see, and that's twice a week. So essentially, they will have 120 throws with resistance. Okay. So I think, coming up with the protocol standards, that's the biggest key in their practice plan. Um, would be nice to get them, 48 hours of recovery between. I think it'll make it easier for us going through the hospital system saying, yeah, I'm good with this. So like let's just say they did it on a, you know, I don't know, maybe it's a Tuesday or and a Thursday or Friday. We have to determine when you guys have guys in that are throwing bullpens, out of this group because it might be nice to get an incremental bullpen each week. If it's a guy that's like, hey, he throws his bullpen on Fridays, it might be something where we go, Monday, Wednesday with this protocol. Okay. That we have just enough rest. So just be thinking about that of how we can give 48 hours between and then, we have a bullpen performance.
Are we tracking effort level or velo or percentage or
There you go. There you go. So that's the other thing. Um, that presents the challenge. So for me, what I think is probably best, and I'll have to take a look at it, is I'm thinking that I would get two pulse sensors, and the kids would have some element of, their torque levels. Some way that we have feedback for their intensity. Setting up, I think about this too, is setting up a radar gun. If we did, do you have two pocket radars?
we don't? We have one stalker
Okay,
and then
one
our
stalker.
TrackMan
Okay. So yeah, one stalker. So that's the only way I could think about it. If one guy's got a radar gun behind him, other
on
guy,
each side.
yeah, then they can at least take a look behind them and be like, okay, I'm pretty much throwing what I need to. But I think the pulse is going to give us a good readout where they can look at it and be like, okay, my joint load is 60 when it needs to be at 70. I know I'm just kind of, you know, lightly tossing it. So they're going to have at least something to scale effort. And we can also present to them an RPE as well,
Yeah.
and so as they build, if it's one day is, they go light ball for this, and then I think there's three levels, aren't there, Matt? There's a light, a medium, and a heavy. Is that how it works?
Well, yeah. So I've been like I've gotten some sample sizes to kind of test out the resistance and stuff. So, but
Okay.
yeah, we have three different diameters of chutes.
Okay. So my thought is this. I think what we should be doing is, if they're light, we just use the two extremes, light and really heavy. Because in the middle, I mean, we'll know there's that third rung if we need it, but at least we're going to have an understanding when it's really forceful or when it's really light, what do they do? And I think at the beginning, instead of creating a graded program, it might be easier to say the group's going to focus on, one group is on light, and we look at the light effects, and the other is on force, and they're going to flip. And then we can look at and see the differences. Because from there, now we could start to break out and be like, okay, this is what light does. This is what heavy does, right? Moderate in the middle, we can kind of identify it's pretty much in between. But I think the extremes are good. So we have, yeah, our light protocol and we have a heavy one. Um, and we keep the volume the same. So that to me, I think that's going to work. Um, Bullpen day. So this is really where I want to do a lot of the testing. Okay, we got some in practice insights there, but with the bullpen day, I do want to do a lot more of our testing. You guys have force plates there, right?
Yep.
So we'll design a jump profile. Um, and when these guys do the mini shoot work, we'll do a fresh and a post exam after, so that like they just have that, they have those habits already over there. So we know they're fresh going in, and we know they're post after the training. So we're going to be able to take a look at that, and we're also going to get a lot more data points. And then on bullpen day, um, that's where I want to add the layers of the jump, and now they have fatigue elements, the cardio. Um, we'll have a sensor on the arm at least, and fine tune that. Um, the key for that one is I want to throw 2 innings, guys. So it would be prepping the athlete, and generally what I normally get passed through the doctors is 20 pitches, and we probably need a timer. Do you guys happen to have something that could put them on a timer that they have like 20 seconds recovery between?
Or you could have someone telling them or something like that
Okay.
for sure.
Okay. So 20 seconds recovery. And you kind of follow it just like kind of a game would be. They got eight pitches at the beginning, then 20 seconds recovery. I don't want to influence too much on the bullpen. I want them, because you guys have your bullpen process, and we're just going to catch, what are the peaks. I'm focused on velocity first. We'll look at what's the fastball action and what's happening there. Um, and then so cardio, yep. So 20 pitches. Then we need to have a little intermission for the innings. So what we would do is probably do 8 minutes. And then what we would do is we capture the heart rate responses, things we can do inter inning. And then they'll throw the secondary inning, 5 pitches to begin, kind of how it would be in inning two. They throw their bullpen, and then we do all their post testing, and we're comparing those. And I'll lay out a whole protocol for us, and you'll have like sheets that we can write it in and capture, whatever's not in your electronic systems. Um, yeah. And then what we'll do is the fifth week, there would be just regular throwing with the ball. But I'd like to see if we can keep it pretty much at the same, if we can keep it the same volume. So the 60, 90, 120 guys are throwing 10 here, 10 here. 20 at the back, 10 coming in, as part of their prep. Bullpen day, I want them to get prepared the way they get prepared. So like they have self-selection and kind of this is what I do all the time. I need to do that. We're not going to mess with that, but then they'll flip it over and then we'll do the final testing, get through that. And by the ninth week, we should have the study completed, the results. That cool?
Sounds good to me.
Good deal.
Okay.
Heck yeah. No, it sounds awesome.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do, I'm
I
going to
got
cut.
some ideas. I got some ideas too on the protocol. But give me a day or two to kind of
Yeah.
articulate.
Yeah. Yeah, I want your creativity in this, guys. It's just things that I'm thinking on my end. I'm gonna cut the video. You can go back to it.
Yep.
At certain highlight and Matt, you might want to share it with people on your side just, so they can get a look and we'll keep furthering this out. You know, we'll, we'll
Yep.
we'll lay out this process so that when we're ready, it's a nice short window of study so that, we don't have, and it's not a huge amount of kids. It's going to be a small number of kids so that we can, um, study this at a case study level. And I think it'll be manageable for everybody to get some benchmarks here.
What
Yep.
time
For
of
sure.
year, like part of season, are we thinking on this?
So we definitely have to have the guys trained.
Right.
They got to be throwing pretty much an intense bullpen that they can throw 2 innings and then we want to get them rolling on a sequence to do this.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Guys, thanks for hanging in, man. Full hour. Appreciate you
Heck
so
yeah.
much.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and I'll cut the video and send it to everybody and I'll put us all on an email thread, okay?
All
Cool.
right. Sounds
Thanks,
good.
Ryan. Great to meet you,
Thanks,
Matt.
guys. Nice to meet you
Great
guys.
speaking.
All
All right.
right. See you guys.
See ya.
Bye.